Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. We are still in the beginning part of the 18th chapter. We will study 6 verses today, where there are 6 topics, each of them discussed under Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. This will go on for about half an hour. Following that, we will again study the Bhagavad Gita in a form of a Gita quiz. We will have 6 questions on some important verses of the Gita. We will begin with Dr. Ahalya. Dr. Ahalya, please.
Namaste, Harihi Om. Am I audible, sir?
Very clear, go ahead.
18th chapter is a final summary of the 15 chapters, that is from chapter 3rd to chapter 17. 9 main topics have been covered: Sadhanatraya Vichara, Karma, Upasana and Jnana, Padatraya Vichara, that is the Mahavakya Vichara, Tata Tvam Asi, Ishvara, Jiva and Asi, Aikyam or oneness. Ishvara, Jiva and Aikyam. Ghatakatraya Vichara, Prayatna, employment of free will, Prasada, grace of the Lord, Sadguna, character. The influence of Sankhya Darshana is often seen in Gita. Sankhya Yoga Prutagbalaha Pravadantina Panditaha is what we read. It is here in these verses that we still see some Sankhya influence. From 18th to 40th verse, Krishna analyzes 6 topics which will give a comprehensive picture of the entire Bhagavad Gita teaching. After talking about Dhanam, Shraddha, Ahara, Yajna and Tapas, from the Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic angles, Krishna continues with Jnanam, Karma, Karta, Buddhi, Dhriti and Sukham, again from the 3 angles of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas each. If this is understood, Swami Paramarthanandaji says, the clarity of Bhagavad Gita is well grasped. After Sattvika Jnanam, it is Rajasika Jnanam, and the verse goes so. Prithaktvena tu yat jnanam nana bhavan prithak vidhan vetti sarveshu bhuteshu yat jnanam vidhi rajasam. The word meaning, vidhi, to know, rajasam jnanam, rajasic knowledge, tat, to be that, yat jnanam, by which, vetti, one sees or one knows, prithak vidhan, the apparently different, nana bhavan. It is to be understood as nana jivan because it concerns the mind. The word bhavan has been used, nana jivan, as many jivas, sarveshu bhuteshu, in all beings, tu prithakttvena. Prithaktva is to separate, to be really different or separate. Now what does that mean? Rajasika jnanam is placed in between Sattvika and Tamasika jnanam. A Tamasika jnana person is like the Charvaka philosophers who thinks he is just the body. There is no other concept. Basmi bhutasya dehasya punaragamanam kutaha. No punyam, no papam. Whatever is seen as pratyaksha, the only pramana. A concept of total materialism. On the other hand, a Sattva Jnana person, he knows it very clearly. Then where does the Rajasika Jnana person stand, or what are the qualities of a Rajasika Jnana person? He has progressed from the body level to the mind level. He knows he is the mind. The second point is that he knows he is a Karta Bhokta. That claim comes because of mind and the willpower, Manas and Sankalpa Shakti. He is in Dvaita, can identify many other minds apart from his own. He knows or accepts many varied Jivatma, that is the Nana Bhavan, Nana Jivan Veti. Where does he see them? Sarveshu Bhuteshu. Behind every physical body, he sees the different mind. Sankhya philosophers talk about the plurality of Jiva. It is because they have mistaken the mind as ourselves, and that knowledge is Rajasika knowledge. Sankhya stops at that point and Vedanta continues from there, and that is where the Sattva Pradhana individual comes through. This is about the explanation of the 21st sloka. Namaste, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Halya. Nice and a clear overview of the topics that we are dealing with and this particular topic of Rajasic Jnana. We now to go to Dr. Vikram Boded. Dr. Vikram, please.
Gurubhyo Namaha. Yattu Krishna vadekasmin tare shaktamaitukam atatvartat vadalpamcha tattama samudadrutam. Tamasic knowledge is said to be that which is attached to the individual body as though it is whole, which is unreasonable, untruthful, and petty. So the third type of knowledge is held by utterly materialistic person. He accepts the physical body only. He does not believe even in mind other than brain. And therefore, in his vision, when the body dies, that is the end of the individual. The conclusion of the materialistic is he believes only in the sense organs, and we cannot do anything in those people because the subtle body cannot be shown to the sense organs. Imagine a person who has got only 4 sense organs. He does not have eye. Suppose he is blind. I am telling that there are colors and forms in the world which can be seen only to the 5th sense organ called the eye. This person says, no, I won't accept. If I have to accept colors and forms, you should prove it through the 4th sense organ I have got. I will use my ear to see the color, but it is not possible. So tradition says there are things which are not available for the 5 sense organs. And we have to go to the 6th sense organ called Shastra. Therefore, any amount of scientific experiment will not help because those sense organs are incapable of objectifying. Shastra says body is most superficial layer of your personality and Annamayam is superficial layer. And superficial is taken as the ultimate by tamasic person. He does not come to Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Atma. So we should never argue with materialistic people. So because they are most illogical person and it is the meanest form of knowledge. So such a materialistic knowledge is called tamasic knowledge. So I am the body, that is called tamasic knowledge. I am the mind, it is called rajasic knowledge. I am the consciousness, it is the sattvic knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikram, for giving an overview of the 3 kinds of knowledge, particularly what is tamasic jnanam. Inakshi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shloka 23. Niyatam sangarahitam aragadveshatah kritam aphala prepsuna karma yet tat sattvikam uchyate. An action which is ordained or prescribed, which is free from attachment, which is done without love or hatred by one who is not desirous of the fruit, that action is declared to be sattvika or pure. The 18th chapter is a culmination of Krishna's teachings. In this chapter, we have an elaborate and exhaustive discussion on how the 3 temperaments or gunas in their variations create differences among individuals in the field of sacrifices, wisdom, actions, fortitude, and in happiness. The endless details given here are actually the pointers that help one to understand himself. According to the science of gunas, as enunciated in Kapila's Sankhya Yoga, Gnana, Karma, and Karta are classified under 3 categories: Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. We learned from the earlier speakers about Gnana or knowledge with its variations. Knowledge is the main instigator of any action. Sattva is the quality of balance, purity, goodness, harmony, sincerity, etc. So, if the if the knowledge is sattvic, the action will be sattvic, and so on. Now, in this verse, Krishna is talking about sattvika karma. Here, karma means action performed. What is a sattvic karma? Niyatam karma sattvikam means that action which is specifically prescribed in the Shastras. The performance of a sattvic activity must have a stamp of approval of a true scripture. Swami Paramarthananda ji says, these scriptures prescribe certain special actions exclusively for the sake of spiritual growth with values and inner maturity. Such actions are nishkama karmani. Next condition for sattvic karma is sangarahitam. This denotes that activity which does not spring from the haunting evil of attachment. Even a service-oriented person should not get attached to the act itself. Instead, should know how to transcend it and engage himself in self-inquiry. Thus, that action which is performed by a completely non-attached person becomes sangarahitam. The next term is aragadveshatah kritam. Those karmas performed without ragadvesha, that is, desire or hatred, fall under sattvika title. The actions performed are so pure that there's no worldly motive behind it. It's not done to change the external world, but to gain internal peace by changing one's own attitude. Only a karma yogi's action will not be deluded by sukha or dukkha, nor will be attached to the fruits of action. Aphala prepsuna kritam. The actions done without any expectations or benefits. If at all there is an expectation, it may be for gnana yogyata prapti and not for material benefit. Though the scriptures point out many byproduct benefits for a karma yogi, a gnani should not aim for it. He must perform his duty wholeheartedly, not caring for the reward, but offering it willingly at the feet of the Lord. For example, if a philanthropist gives alms to the poor with the object of gaining publicity, even though it is a sattvic karma, it becomes impure, for it is tainted by the desire for fruits of action. Hence, from the scriptural context, an activity can be truly called sattvic or pure only when it is taintless from its inception to its consummation. Thus, to summarize, sattvic karma is a humane action performed without attachment and not motivated either by likes or dislikes, and also undertaken without any desire to enjoy the results thereof. The missionary work undertaken by all prophets and sages can be considered as a good example of sattvika karma. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you, Meenakshi, for a very clear explanation of this particular verse dealing with sattvika karma. As you will see, we are dealing with karma yoga again in newer terminology. Let us now look at rajasika karma. Padma, please.
Hari Om. According to yogic philosophy, the whole universe is divided into two categories: Prakriti, Maya or illusion, and Purusha, reality, the self or the soul. Everything within Prakriti, the illusionary world, consists of three gunas: Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. These three qualities are present in all objects in various degrees. One quality is always more dominant than the others. These gunas are present in everything: humans, animals, food, animate or innate objects. Whichever guna is predominating will affect how we perceive the world around us. It affects our behavior, actions, attitude, etc. It is said that these gunas are the powers of the soul which hold the karmas and desires that propel us from birth to birth. Coming to the sloka, yattu kamapsenu karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulyasam tad rajasam udrahrutam. Translation: Rajasic action is said to be that which is full of pain and which is undertaken by one who seeks result and who is egoistic. In this verse, Lord Krishna defines Rajasam karma is karma done with bahulyasam kriyati, action committed with passion, motivated by ambition, with a lot of intense effort. It involves heavy toil, leading to great physical and mental fatigue. The nature of Rajoguna is that it creates intense desires for materialistic needs and sensual pleasures. Man has to conquer his senses and the mind. This is the greatest of all conquests. He is by subduing the senses and mind that the man evolves from human to the divine. Lord Krishna delivers this message. he himself being Rishikesha, the head of the Lord of Senses. Swami Param cites example of the all-familiar corporate world where each one puts all his energy and time to climb the corporate ladder, neglecting all else. Karma, which involves tremendous stress and strain, leads to all upheavals in life, from one's health to personality to family life. One has no time for religion or spiritual pursuits. Rajasic karma is that which increases tension and surfaces in the form of diseases. So Lord Krishna says, Bahul yasam kriyate. Yasam means stress and strain, action with tremendous strain. Kamapseno kriyate, done by a person whose actions are motivated by inordinate ambition for power, prestige, and wealth, like the efforts and actions of political leaders, people in all fields, over-anxious parents, etc. Sahankarena, a person who is very egoistic, action which is done by craving for desires or again with egoism or rajasic. But in contrast, man's desire for ethical progress, earning by honest means and expending it on good causes is Dravya Shakti. Adi Shankaracharya in Bhajagovindam, verse 7, has poetically said similarly, Balastavat Krida Saktaha, Tarunastavat Taruni Saktaha, Vruddhastavat Chinta Saktaha, Parme Brahmani Kopina Saktaha. In brief, a person at each point of different periods of age, as a child, youth, adult, and old age, spends his time in futile experiences of the world. At each point of these different periods of age, one wastes his precious and time and energy, knowingly or unknowingly, in chasing worldly pursuits with no time for spiritual pursuits. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verse 20, it goes, Gunan etan atityatrin dehi teha samudbhava janma mrityu jara dukkahaihi vibhuktam mrityam ashnate. Meaning, having gone beyond these three gunas associated with the body, one becomes free from birth, death, disease, and old age, and misery, and attains mortality. Thank you, sir. Namaste.
Thank you, Padma, for a well-researched presentation on this particular verse. It is a good warning for all of us. So many of us get so involved in our activities that we forget everything. And that is the consequences of being over Rajasic. We will go to Dr. Narayan Murthy, please.
This is the 25th verse. The verse goes like this. Anubandham chayam himsam anavichyacha paurusham mohadarabhyate karma yattat tamasa muchyate. This shloka deals with the details of tamasa karma. The 18th chapter is a summary of the whole of message of Bhagavad Gita. Here Sri Krishna mentions more details about what a tamasa karma is. Arjuna, to whom Bhagavad Gita is primarily preached, though Arjuna is predominantly Rajasic, he does not have any tamasic tendencies. Why Krishna is teaching so much about tamasic karma? It is definitely not meant for Arjuna. Keeping the interest of all of us, human beings in Kali Yuga, Krishna is telling about what a tamasic action is in detail. Now, coming to our shloka, tamasic action is one which has got these following features. Anubandha, Kshayam, Himsa, Anaveksha, Mohat, Arabhyate. Let's go into details of each of these features. Anubandham, action taken up without proper planning and without proper thinking, without taking the consequences into consideration. Here we should differentiate between planning and worrying. Planning is a deliberate action. Proper planning is a must for any action for its proper implementation to reap proper results. Worrying is involuntary and it saps one's energy. Chayam, when we start an action, we should take care of what resources we need, what resources we have, and how much expenditure we will incur, resources in the name of financial, physical, mental energies, and what loss it can result in if it is not successful. Then himsa, damage and hurt, which may eventually result to the community due to this tamasic action. A tamasic action usually causes hurt and damage to the welfare of the fellow beings. Anavecha paurusham, without considering own physical, mental, intellectual, and financial capabilities to implement a proper action, action is taken up by a tamasic action-oriented person. Mohat arabhyate, action started without using discriminative power, faculty, about the above-mentioned consequences, without caring for the welfare of others, and totally considering his own personal material benefits. So, a sattvic action helps one to grow spiritually, rajasic action helps to grow materially and stagnates spiritually. A tamasic action is one which takes anybody to go down spiritually. So, the message for the mumukshus is to shun tamasic action totally and aim to become totally sattvic and go beyond sattvic, transcend sattvic to become fully eligible to pursue Jnana Yoga. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murthy, for giving us the warning, just to be very sensitive to the tamasic tendencies in all of us, and to move up the scale from tamas to rajas, from rajas to sattva, and finally to go beyond sattva. Kulkarni sir.
Hari Om. Hari Om sir.
Hari Om, please go ahead.
Hari Om, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. The verse goes like this. Mukta sango hanam vadi dhatyutsaha samanvitaha siddha siddhor nirvikaraha karta satvika uchyate. A doer, satvika doer, karta uchyate is said to be mukta sangaha, one who is free from attachment, anamvadi, without, free from egoism, dhrityutsaha anmanitaha, who is with will and enthusiasm, and nirvikaraha, who is unaffected by the success and failure. A doer who is free from attachment and non-egoistic, endowed with a firmness and enthusiasm, and unaffected by the success or failure is called Sattvika Karta. The 18th chapter opens with a question of Arjuna to explain separately about Tyaga and Sannyasa Tattva. The Krishna, while insisting not to be renounced, this Yajna Dana Tapa Karma, and he further explains that the karma will be prompted by three factors, that is Jnana, Karma and Karta, which are again separated by three gunas, which Krishna explained in the previous slokas from verse number 19 onwards. In this verse, he is explaining the qualities of Sattvika Karta, which are helpful to the spiritual growth of aspirant, a Karma Yogi. The Krishna enumerated the following qualities, which are Mukta Sangohaha, one who is free from attachment, like Padma Patra Mimambasa, like a lotus leaf from the wetness, free from wetness. The attachment is a mental weakness of the common man, attracting towards the worldly objects of pleasures, from which he has to be detached with a right understanding. Na aham vadi. During the allotment, the doer, he has to do all the allotted works, and without the sense of ego, with optimum skill and efficiency. Dhatyutsaha. Dhrati, it is a new word here. So it is the faculty of the willpower of the individual which discovers more and more courage and enthusiasm to strive hard for the determined goal, even in failures, and it is the tendency to push oneself in the path of success. Swami Paramarthananda quotes the practical example in this way, the example of a politician who contests in the elections for a number of times, in spite of the failure, with enthusiasm, till he achieves the success. As Samanvitaha, however, the Sattvic Karta, he has to be a Bhakta with equanimous mind and with respect to the results of action. With Ishwararpita Buddhi, he has to work with a spirit of dedication and enthusiasm. Siddha Siddho Nirvikaraha, that is, he is not affected by the fruits of action and success or failure, and maintains equanimity at mind and intellectual level, and results of action will not affect him. We quote the example of a sincere student who prepares well for the examination and accepts the results which may vary according to his expectation, and he prepares for the next progressive future. So this verse can also be interpreted from the standpoint of the realized Mahatma like King Janaka, who have transcended the egocentric desires and remains equanimous at all times and unaffected with the fruits of action. So, fruits of action, success or failure. I would like to recollect the important verse in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6. That is the opening verse of the chapter 6. That is first one. Anasrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha sasanyasi cha yogi cha na niragni cha chakriyaha. Not affected by the karma phalam. That is one who is engaged in the swadharma. He is eligible to become yogi for meditation. The human faculty of mind and intellect, they are required to be disciplined to the state of egoless and equanimous and total surrender to the higher nature. The Krishna's intentions to lift tamasic and rajasic kartas to the sattvic level for the preparatory for dhyana yoga with chitta shuddhi, the qualities of rajas and tamas karta will be explained in the next few verses. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kulkarni, sir.
Yes.
We are now looking at Sattvic Karta, Rajasic Karta, Tamasic Karta. And we have just heard before that the three types of karma, Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. Swamiji was saying Krishna has already described these three karmas. So a Sattvic Karta is one who does Sattvic karma. A Rajasic Karta is one who does Rajasic karma. A Tamasic Karta is one who does Tamasic karma. Why does he have to repeat it? But for certain emphasis, Sri Krishna is doing it. And for very strangely, nowhere in the Bhagavad Gita, you see a very nice pattern in all these questions. So this will go on till about verse 40. And then the topics go on, alternatively summarizing Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga. That is how the 18th chapter will go on, till about the 66th verse, where Krishna will conclude his teaching with a very, very dramatic verse. 65 and 66 are very important verses, concluding teaching verses of this particular chapter. With that, we finish today's class. We will go to the Gita quiz. The Gita quiz is going to be in a particular methodology. And the methodology is this, that last time when we heard certain Gita questions, I had a feedback that, you know, we have studied the whole Gita and still when we look at these verses, it looks like very strange verses. So what I have done is I have selected 100 verses, which I think a student of Gita should know. These are must-know verses. And therefore, I have eliminated those very popular verses like Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, that everybody would know. So that, those straightforward questions, there is no quiz in that. So I have selected a few hundred questions which will be divided till we finish this chapter. These are verses which we should know, and we should know very clearly. So how do we go? Once we listen to the verse, I will wait. Please wait till the question is asked. Once a question is asked, then you can unmute and you can answer. So the first question is this. Matra sparshasu kaunteya sita ushna sukha dukkadaya agama pahino nityaha tam titikshasva bharata. First is an academic question. Which chapter this belongs to?
Chapter number 2.
Second chapter.
All right, good. This is chapter number 2. Second question is, what is the message Sri Krishna is trying to give us from this? You know, overall, when you look at it, what is the message that you get from this?
So the keyword here is titiksha.
Very good.
You
ahead.
have to, and you know, in cold or hot, sitoshna, sukha dukkha is in happiness or sadness, and you have to remain, you know, the same.
All right.
Endurance and forbearance.
All right.
Mata sparsha is sense organs.
Okay. Continue.
I think if we control the sense organs, we can both the pain, sukha, and hot, cold, which comes in future, agama, pai, no.
Okay.
Can be endured. Tikshva.
All right.
That's what's it.
Okay. Yes, Dr. Sheila. Somebody can further improve on this?
Sense organs come in contact with sense objects. Naturally, there will be an action which takes place. It's a choiceless thing. So we have to undergo this. This is the natural thing. That is titiksha.
Is titiksha natural, or you have to create titiksha?
Forbearance. Yes, we have to create this forbearance. We have to develop this forbearance.
Yeah. What is natural? See, whenever the sense organs interact with the sense objects, you experience hot, cold, happiness or sadness. Now, Neeta brought out one key verse called titiksha. There is another very important key verse here.
Agama pahino.
Agama
Very
pahino.
good. What is this agama pahino?
Whatever.
They come and go.
They come and go. Agama pahino. There is nothing that is nitya. They don't stay. They just
Very
come
good.
and go.
So
Matra. Yes, sir.
Continue.
Matra there could mean the Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha Tanmatras. Whenever the Indriya and the Artha, whenever there is an interaction, there are bound to be issues. The word Sparsha actually means two kinds of Sparsha. Sparshanendriya Samsparshaha, Sparsho Manasa Evacha. It can either touch your mind, or it could be the Sparsha, the Indriya connotation there, sir. And he is telling Kaunteya, these will come and go, and there is no way you can avoid. This needs to be cultivated. Agama apaino anityaha. Tam titikshasva. You need to bear them. Forbearance is what is stressed in this verse.
Good, Dr. Ahalya. There are two key verses. One.
Sir, I did this verse, so I know. Otherwise, I wouldn't.
See, there are two key words here. One key word to realize is, in this anatma world, the whole world is anatma only. Everything other than you, the atma, is anityaha. They come, they go, they come, they go. Now the next question is, when something comes and goes, is it good news or bad news? It seems like bad news because you see it and before you could relish it, it has gone. And therefore, Krishna gives a warning. You have to be mentally prepared. So mentally, you have to be strong. And this is a word called mental toughness, the word titikshasva. You have to become mentally strong. Now, one more question for all of you. This is from the second chapter. Which part of the second chapter? Approximately verse where?
14 to us.
Correct. It is in the beginning of the second chapter where Sri Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna that the Atma is permanent. He gives a lot of verses about the permanence of the Atma. At the same time, he's telling you about the nature of Anatma. The nature of Anatma by nature is it is impermanent. And therefore, I want you to be mentally prepared for the impermanent nature of Anatma, because what you see today may not be there tomorrow. So I want you to be mentally strong. Now, quickly, what we will do is, we have got all the word meanings, so we can go very quickly. Ahalya has very clearly explained what is meant by matra. Matra means?
Sense organs.
Sense?
Objects.
Objects. Sparsha means?
Sense organs.
Sense organs, or even contact. Sparsha means touch.
Okay.
So when there is
Contact,
a touch
contact.
between the two. Tu.
However,
is it? All right. Kaunteya, we know. Sita and Ushna.
Sita is cold and
It's cold and
hot.
Cold and
Let us
hot.
see. Okay, what is that? Tu. Tu means only.
only.
Yeah, it means only. Yeah. So I'll go to the next set of verses. Sukha, fairly straightforward. Sukha dukkha. Dukkha means?
one which
gives-
causes the suffering.
Okay.
Daha. Sukha
Daha
dukkha
is-
da. Yes, that which give. Da is to give.
Let us see what is the meaning of the giving. Yeah, that which gives pain. Da.
Like we say,
Agama.
go yada.
Yeah. Agama means appearing. Apahino means to go. And anitya, we know. Tan means?
Them.
All of them. Let's see. All of them. Good. Now, I have something important to say about this verse. Shall I read, or anybody wants to read?
I'll read, sir.
Please read.
One must understand the impermanent nature of anatma and accept it. An intelligent person never struggles to change the nature. Instead, he changes his attitude towards it and accepts things as they are. Resistance to fact causes sorrow.
Please continue.
The nature of the worldly objects is arrival and departure. One must develop the mental endurance, titiksha, to welcome them on their arrival and bid them farewell at their departure. It is unwise to pray to the Lord to change the nature. It is wise to ask Him for the mental endurance. This mental strength is a prerequisite for attaining the self-knowledge.
All right. Very good. Now, we will see it from two angles. I want you to see anityaha, the world being impermanent, from two very important angles. One is the angle, I want that keyword. I will tell you a story and I want you to give me what is that keyword. The story is like this. This was, sometime before all these modern communication gadgets were available. A man had traveled out of station. He had a beautiful house where people were asking, they were ready to pay double the amount of its market value, but that man was unwilling to sell it. As he approaches his house and he sees his house on fire, and he's very upset seeing his house on fire. At that time, his son comes to him and says, Papa, don't worry. Just a few days ago, a man offered 3 times the price and I have sold it. The man is so relieved. Now he's joining everybody. He's seeing the house on fire, but now it doesn't affect him at all. After some time, the next son comes and says, you fellows, you know what has happened? That man has agreed to buy it, but he has not paid. He's only made a commitment. Again, sorrow. Then the third son, another son comes and says, see, this man is a man of his words. He's going to give his words. Now, can you see the emotions? See, can you give me what is that key word, which is that which makes suffering? Everybody is watching the house burning. Nobody likes it. But the owner of the house feels terrible when he finds his house burning. But when he knows his house is sold, now he becomes indifferent. What is the key word here?
Anitya. Anitya.
Somebody mentioned the word mamakara.
Attachment.
Mamakara. The key
Raga.
is
Raga.
mamakara. No, the key word here is mamakara. All the suffering is because it is mine. Another house, somebody else's house burning, you feel sad, but that impact is not there. Now I will go to the final and the most difficult part about ahankara. And then I will tell you about this, anityaha. Normally when you say something is anitya, it looks like it is bad. But we will see the story. This is a story of Alexander the Great, and I will tell you why he is considered the great. He is the leader, commander of a group of people, and he became famous as a commander. He had a group of ruthless warriors. A group of Greek men got together with spears and with tremendous ruthless ability to kill. Now, when somebody has got a tremendous killing ability, you will not call him great. But he and his people could go on killing hundreds of people along the way, plundering populations without any remorse. And there is one more information about it. In order to keep the morale or the discipline among his people, it is said periodically, one soldier of his, for small reason or for no reason, in front of everybody, he would assassinate them, just to show his power. Now, you know the Indian name for Alexander? Sikandar. How did he get the name Sikandar? Can you tell me the greatest commander from the Indian mythology or Indian religions? No.
Skanda.
Very good. Skanda. From Skanda came Sikandar. Muruga or Subramanyam's name is also Skanda because he was born as a commander. Shiva wanted him as a commander and he could fit into a certain brief that he wanted. So his, purpose that he was created was to be a commander or Skanda. That is how he had the great discipline. Now, in addition to being whatever he is, he wanted to come all the way to India for one reason. For one reason was he would enforce strict discipline. And as Alexander, he could kill anybody at will. But one thing he could not imagine his own death. And he knew that in India, there are certain mystics who knew how to overcome death. And he came all the way to India, not to plunder India. Plunder India was a byproduct. He came to look for a mystic who will give him immortality. And once he conquered India, he sent his soldiers around to find a mystic who will know the secret of immortality. And it is said that they found one person, and this person would just refuse to come. All the soldiers were demanding that he come. They put a spear around his neck and said, "We will kill you if you don't come." But that man was, he said, "You can kill me. I'll watch my head fall like you can watch my head fall." But they knew that the way he reacted to them, like all people were afraid of them, this man was not afraid. They knew something was very special. So Alexander personally comes. And when Alexander personally comes also, this man just refuses to give any respect. In fact, if he wants a dialogue, he said, "You get out from the horse and then we can have a dialogue." And then he found out that he was looking for immortality. So that mystic tells him, gives him clear directions. You have to go to a certain place in the forest. He gives him all the landmarks. So he, with a group of his followers, follows all the landmarks. And as he's reaching, suddenly he gets an idea. So he's going with a group of finally 4 or 5 persons. And then he realizes that if he finds that mystic water, if he drinks and he gets immortality, and these 4 or 5 people also become immortal, then he'll have a problem. He cannot kill them. So finally he tells them, "You 4 or 5 people stay back, I will go." And the story goes, I just want you to reflect on the story, which is so significant. He goes to the place, and as described, there is that water body. He puts his hand and is about to drink. For some good reason, the water filters through his hand, is not able to drink. And then he sees a crow. And a crow says, "Please don't drink. I drank from that water 10,000 years ago. I have seen so many people come and go. I am not able to die. I can't even commit suicide. The worst thing that you can do is to drink of this water. Now, Alexander suddenly got an idea that there is no point living for 10,000 years. That is why it is said Alexander is great, not for any other reason, not for killing all those people. Agama pahino nityaha. Last example I gave you was mamakara. Now this is ahankara. Our greatest fear is our own death. Now look at this. You know, the fact that we will die is actually not bad news. Because if you are going to live forever as a body, that is the worst thing. So we do not want to live as a body. So, you know, these thoughts and these stories will help us that even if that mystic water is given to you, that you are going to be immortal forever as a body, you do not want to. And that is why we would rather look for something other than as a body. Think, any thoughts on this story? So this is the story of the mystic and the crow about Alexander, and why Alexander is great, not for conquests or killing hundreds of people, but the fact that he realized that there is no point surviving for 10,000 years or indefinitely. Shall we proceed to the next question? Any thoughts on this?
Okay.
Okay, we will proceed to the next. And the next question is this. Yad yad acharati shreshtas tad tad ivataro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Question is from which chapter of the Bhagavad Gita?
Third chapter of Bhagavad Gita.
From the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, now I'm going to silence you. Other than you, can that is right. Can you tell me what is the meaning? When you look at this verse, you should get a meaning. Can somebody tell me the meaning of this?
People follow Mahatmas who do good work.
Okay, Sukanya. Okay, I'm going to silence you also now. Can somebody else, some other than Sukanya and Ahalya, can tell me what is this little more details other than what Sukanya said? Open. Add a little more.
So this is in the portion dealing with Loka Sangraha.
Yes.
Lord Krishna is afraid that Arjuna might tell, I am a jnani, so why should I fight? So anticipating that question, he tells Arjuna, even if you are a jnani, because you are a grihastha jnani, you are a role model for the family and the society. So continue doing your swadharma.
Correct.
And
so
Janaka's example also.
Correct. So the importance of a role model. I want you to see wherever yad comes, tat will come. Tad. And wherever yatra will come, tatra will come. So that is it. There is nothing much more to it. It is important that all of us as students of the Gita, therefore, become in a way role models, because by now everybody knows. I don't know how many people are there now. There are 66 people watching. All of us, 66 of us, are ardent students of the Gita who have been studying for more than at least a year now. So we need to see how we can be role models in thought, word, and deed. Now we will go through what is the meaning of the word Shreshta?
Best.
Best. Anything else? Like an elderly person, you know, a very senior person, Shreshta. Acharati means?
Follows.
Acharati means?
Conduct.
Follow.
Practice.
Okay.
Performs.
Perform. Okay. What is this? Evetaro janaha.
Others.
Other people.
The common people.
Common people.
What is pramanam here? What is it?
Standard.
Yeah, setting standards, setting examples, setting an example. Anuvartate.
Follow. People follow.
People follow. All right. So, Ahalya, can you read?
Yes, sir. Yet whatever, yet and whichever. Acharati, does he act? Shreshtaha, respectable leader. Tat, that. Tat, and that alone. Eva, certainly. Itaraha, common. Janaha, person. Saha, he. Yat, whichever. Pramanam, exemplary. Kurute, does perform. Lokaha, all the world. Tat, that. Anuvartate, follow in the footsteps.
Any word, if you needs a little more explanation, you can do that. And just please read the notes.
The people will imitate whatever their role models do. A child will emulate the parents and will follow the standards set at home, school, and society. Just as the rules, the violations will also be emulated. Playing a role model has both advantages and disadvantages.
What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages?
The good is also followed.
Yeah, disadvantage is that, you cannot be, go by your likes and dislikes. Likes and dislikes have to be set aside for Gita students. You have to be a role model, and that is the disadvantage. You have to be what this is what is called arjavam. That means your thought, word, and deed should be in synchronicity. And what is the advantage? You become a role model. You can continue to read.
Yes, sir. The disadvantage is that the role model has the burden of responsibility to live a dharmic life. Otherwise, the imitator will be led down the wrong path. The leader must take advantage of this nature of people and lead the people by example, that is by living a dharmic life.
Good.
Somebody commented like Sri Rama.
Good. Shall we go to the next question?
Yes, sir.
So when you look at the question, and I will tell you when to answer it. Okay. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvastu Niryogakshema Atmavan. Which chapter of the Bhagavad Gita?
Second chapter. Second chapter.
It is second chapter. Very good. In the second chapter, in which part of the second chapter, approximately verse number?
Sthita Prajna.
It is not Sthita Prajna. It is not Sthita Prajna part. Which part of the Bhagavad Gita? So Sthita Prajna comes towards the other. That means 54 is Prajahati Yada Kaman, 54 onwards. So it must be
towards the end, I think.
45.
Karma Yoga, sir.
45th
Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, close to that.
Correct.
Yeah, 45th shloka.
This is all about Karma Yoga itself. Now, other than the, the few of those who have been answering all these questions, so can we go to someone else who will be able to tell me, because it is not a very difficult verse. I want someone to tell me. Traigunya Vishaya Veda. When you look at it, you should get a meaning. What is the meaning?
So, all your actions are based on the gunas, and but the yoga shema is written, so that means God will take care of your needs.
Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna.
Who's that? Identify yourself.
Avinash.
Avinash, please go ahead.
Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. Does that mean become gunatita?
Very good.
Bhava means become. So
Okay.
Nistraigunya means without any gunas.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Good, Avinash. And
Nirdvando is without dualities, without
pairs of opposites.
okay.
Samatvam. It means samatvam.
One who goes beyond the gunas, the
Yeah.
Lord will take care of his kshema.
All right. Who is an Atmavan?
The one who has realized God,
One who has?
who is beyond the gunas and has realized the Lord.
Okay.
Jnani.
We are not talking about such a person, but a person who's working towards becoming a Sthita Prajna. Atmavan is one
Sattvic person.
Atmanishta.
Yeah, the one who is committed to a spiritual pursuit is an Atmavan. Now, somebody needs to explain the first line, Traigunya Vishaya Veda. I have not got a clear answer from anybody yet.
You should be beyond Sattva, Raja, Tama Guna and become Guna Atita.
No.
That means you must
No,
move from Anatma to Atma.
No.
Sense objects. Away from sense objects.
Sir, can I say?
Vedas describe the three gunas.
Very good. Who said that?
Avinash.
Who? Avinash.
Avinash.
Correct. The Vedas describe about
Three gunas.
Yeah. Why the three gunas mean the materialistic part of the world. So the Vedas do talk of Artha and Kama in the Veda Purva part. The Veda Purva part is a lot about acquisition. This is the Niryoga Kshema, Yoga Kshema itself. So the first part of the Vedas is all about that. So Krishna is trying to pull you away from Veda Purva to Veda Anta. So now he's saying, don't get too caught in that Veda Purva part. Go beyond these three gunas. Try to become a Gunatita. Be free from the Dvanda, the dualities. Nitya Sattvastva. That means be anchored in the Sattva Guna.
Eternally.
And, don't worry too much about yoga and Shema. Yoga means to acquire. Shema means to retain whatever you have acquired. So we will go to shall we go word meaning? Ahalya, please read.
Yes, sir. Traigunya pertaining to the three gunas, Vishayaha on the subject matter, Nistraigunya in a pure state of spiritual existence, Bhava, be, Nirdvandvaha, free from the pairs of opposites, Nitya Sattvastaha, ever remaining in Sattva, goodness, Niryoga Kshemaha, beyond yoga and kshema, free from the thought of acquisition and preservation, Atmavan, established in the self.
Okay, I have to correct myself. Here it says Atmavan means to be established in myself. But my idea was that, for one who wants to be established. We'll do one more question.
Sir, actually Swami Param says be alert for our...
All right. So we'll go for one more question. Again, as usual, when you see the question, I'd like to tell you from which chapter it is. Don't answer till I have read it out fully. Oh, Ahalya, will you read this, please?
Yes, sir. What is the personality, thinking pattern and goal of a karma yogi? What is his attitude towards sense pleasures is being said here. Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha. Traigunya means material accomplishments or goals. Such subject matter is there in the Vedas. Thus Krishna says that the Vedas do approve of material accomplishments and sense pleasures. Dharma, Artha and Kama is what we are referring to there probably. He Arjuna Nistraigunyo Bhava. Hey Arjuna Nistraigunyo Bhava. Reduce Kamya karmas, a karma yogi or you should not be enamored, overwhelmed by them. They should not be given over importance in life. Although Artha and Kama are approved, life cannot be totally dedicated to their pursuits alone.
Continue.
Nirdvandvo bhava, reduce prayaschitta karmas. Dvandva means opposite experience. Comfort, discomfort, healthy, unhealthy tips, ups and downs. Immunize your mind by learning to transcend the opposite experiences. Learn to accept the pairs of opposites. Thus, the aim of a karma yogi must be to reduce the parihara karmani. Nistraigunyo bhava, transcend the lower goals. Do not be carried away by the goals of Artha and Kama. Good inner growth leading to wisdom should be the goal in life. Reduce tamasa and rajasa karma and increase the sattvika karma. Nisdvandvo bhava, even if we reduce artha kama pursuits in life, we face so many ups and downs in life due to our previous prarabdha karma. We are going to... One second, sir.
Some mistakes are there.
We are going to face pairs of opposites called dvandva, mana apamana, jaya apajaya. We have to strengthen our mind to withstand the ups and downs of life. Try to maintain equanimity and don't waste energy in kamya karmas and prayaschitta karmas. Nitya sattvastha bhava. May you attain your sattva guna, which stands for viveka, discriminative power, which shows us that dharma, moksha are primary and artha and kama are secondary. Nir-yoga kshema. Transcend the worry of yoga kshema to be a karma yogi. Acquisition is yoga and maintenance is kshema. Krishna says that the ultimate security comes not from what you possess, but from your inner wisdom or devotion. Atmavan bhava. Being aware of the goal, be alert in life, don't be carried away by circumstances. Don't work mechanically, but live a deliberate life. Whatever we do, we must be aware of all the time. We are on a long spiritual journey, and whatever we do are intermediary phases in life. Nothing is an end in itself. The goal is totally different. These are the signs of karma yogi. Arjuna, be a karma yogi.
All right, shall we stop for today? I had prepared more, but we can stop for now. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.